All righty. Sorry, folks, had a few technical difficulties getting signed on there, but we are here. Good evening and welcome to our Blue Ridge District virtual roundtable here on April 8th. And I appreciate you joining with us here. Talk about scouting here in the Blue Ridge District as well as in the Old Hickory Council and kind of what's going on with scouting around the country and how we can continue to scout in our homes. So not going to be too long of a session here this evening, but we will be going over some key details that anybody could use, as well as how we can continue the scouting program and delivering that mission to our scouts back at home. So we will have a special guest speaker this evening. Mr. Weston Mosley, our program director at Camp Raven Knob, will be joining us just to kind of go over some of our new things that are happening at camp this summer, as well as just some updates as far as summer camp goes and what their plan is with COVID-19 happening. And we'll get to him shortly, but first, I'm going to go over a couple of key details. First and foremost, as we know, it is rechartering season, and we still have several units who have not completed their recharter yet. And so we really need to get those recharters into the system as quickly as possible so that we get those posted and we don't have any hiccups later on down the road. Most of our units that have their recharter still outstanding should know by now that that is still outstanding, and we are working on getting that in. But if anybody has any questions as far as recharter goes, please get in touch with me as quickly as possible so we can go ahead and get that in the system. Kind of continuing on down the list, as you know, we had several postponed events due to COVID-19 and its effects right now, with school being out and units not meeting. The District Pinewood Derby, we have put that on hold. We really want to get that rescheduled for our kids that are graduating up to Scouts, BSA, and our new kids as well that maybe haven't had the chance. So we definitely want to get that process happening. We just don't know when exactly would be a good time to do that, because at this point it's really going to be towards the end of the May or into summer. So any suggestions from our leaders or parents, I would greatly appreciate that. Also, those troops that were looking forward to going to the Wilkes Spring Camporee from the Blue Ridge District, we have postponed that. We do plan on doing it at some point this year. We just don't know when at this time. And hopefully by the time we see the light at the end of the tunnel, we can go ahead and set a date for that. So we definitely want you guys to be involved with that. The OA Conclave has been rescheduled. That was coming up next weekend down in Camp Bowers on the eastern part of the state. That has been rescheduled to August 28th to 30th at Camp Bowers as well. And I know they're gearing up for a good time. They just released a whole bunch of new information about Conclave down there this year, some new program items they've added on. So we look forward to having that one rescheduled. That'll be the largest scouting event happen in North Carolina this year. So be a good time to get together with anybody that's in OA from around the state. Our May district committee meeting and roundtable will more than likely still be on a virtual format. Schools are still out at that point, even though the stay-at-home order should expire by then. We don't know that for sure. We will probably still be in virtual mode. The district annual meeting, that has been postponed, and we are working on the details for that, for getting us re-up for another year with our district members. So just bear with us on a lot of that stuff. There's so many unknown variables at this point. The only canceled event right now, the only canceled event right now that we know of that affects our leaders is the Baloo that was scheduled for next weekend as well. It was actually, we were really looking forward to it because it was going to be held right here in Boone, but it has been canceled at this point. The next meeting or the next Baloo is actually September 18th through 19th. I think that's what it is at the moment. Need to go back and check, but normally that fall Baloo is held at camp, and so not sure on the details of all of that, but that should be the next Baloo. Continue on down the list. As you may know, camp cards, that sale has been pushed back to June 30th. And we want to make sure kids get the opportunity to sell these. I know a lot of our units maybe didn't have time to get those cards distributed out, but we definitely want to give you guys the time to sell those, to have a good sale and have enough funds to get through the rest of the year on those. So continue selling those cards to June 30th. If anybody has any questions or ideas on maybe how to sell them during this time, I'm all ears. One of the suggestions I have seen from one of our units is they're putting them on Facebook and they're taking funds in different ways. Whether somebody will send them a check, and then once they get the check, they'll mail them the card or stuff like that. And also, just a little side note with camp cards, this is a difficult time for a lot of our restaurants and vendors that may be on that. So just be cautious about pushing those envelopes with them, because just being a scout is courteous. It's been a really tough time for a lot of our vendors that are on our cards this year, unfortunately. But once we see a light at the end of the tunnel and all this passes, it's going to be a really good time, and those cards should sell pretty well. We put a lot of time and effort into those. All right, moving on down. With everybody kind of being stuck at home right now, it'd be an excellent time to get online and start working on some of your trainings that maybe haven't been up to date or that you need to retake. Youth Protection came out on February 1st of 2018, which means there are several folks that took it when it came out that is now expired or about to expire. So be sure to go on and take some youth protection courses and get you re-upped on that if you took it right when the new one came out in February of 2018. And then if you're looking to become a den leader, or you'll be becoming Cub Master in a few years, go ahead and start taking those courses. I recommend them for anybody. You can access those courses at my.scouting.org, where you take youth protection. There are so many different training courses on there that'll be beneficial to you, the scouts, and the pack itself, or the troop. So be sure to maybe hop on there and check that out. Just 1 second. I had a question come in. Yeah, so I had a question about youth protection for our parents. If you are a parent, we highly suggest anybody take youth protection training, because of to protect our scouts and to protect yourself from any sort of situation you wouldn't want to be in. So, and especially for recharter, if you're rechartering as a new leader, you need to have that youth protection done before you're able to recharter. So be sure to get on there and get that done and print off your certificate. That's always a key thing. Print that off or save it on your computer. That way you don't have to go back and find it. Sometimes it can be a little pesky sometimes. All right, moving on down the list. Oh, one little detail there. On the right side of your screen, usually there's a little comment bar, chat bar. If you have any questions or concerns or anything as we go through these details, write that in there, and we'll be sure to address that. So just be sure to do that. I'll be keeping up with that. All right. So we do have Cub Day Camp that is planned to be held July 23rd through 25th. That'll be a twilight camp again at Boone United Methodist Church, and the theme this year is Down on the Farm. We're planning for a really good day camp, and we're hoping to get our numbers up and have more scouts there this year. So be sure to share that with your families about day camp that's coming up July 23rd through 25th. Registration should go live on that on April 15th on the Old Hickory Council website. That's the plan right now, is for that to go live on April 15th, and you can go ahead and sign up. We will be the cost will be $45, and that'll include your patch, shirt, snacks, and our program supplies that we go through. It's a great time for other Cub Scouts to interact with other scouts from around the two counties. And as well, shoot BB gun and do some archery and slingshots and things like that. So we're planning for a good event. And if you're interested in helping with that, be sure to hop on and be a staff member with us. It's a great time, and it's really not that difficult. It's just a lot of fun, and I promise it'll be easier than running a den meeting. How about that? So come on and join with us for Cub Day Camp, July 23rd through 25th at Boone United Methodist Church. At this time, before we go on to some of our scouting at home details, I've got our special guest lecturer this evening. I've got our program director from Raven Knob, Mr. Weston Mosley, who is going to be joining us here once I patch him in. And he'll be talking to us about some of the fun and exciting things happening at camp this summer, some of the new things, and just kind of give us an update on what they're planning with COVID-19 and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to add Weston in here, and there he is. And Weston,
can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Awesome. All right, good evening, everyone. So just want to touch on a few things as far as updates and everything with summer camp. As of right now, we're still trucking right along, and we're still planning to have a full 6 weeks of summer camp, including the Cub camp and everything. Just a reminder that our decision will be made around May 15th. That's what we're shooting for, but mid to late May is when we'll know, have a better idea as far as what the plan for summer camp will be. In that process, some things that we've talked about is possibly worst case scenario, having some virtual classrooms for all of your scouts to still have the chance to take merit badges, just so they're not lacking the advancement from a whole year, just to give everybody that chance that they can still earn a couple of merit badges and possibly getting some of the earlier scout, tenderfoot, and second class requirements knocked out as well. Just pretty much doing what we can. But like I said, that's worst case scenario, but we're still trucking right along. Got about 2,500 scouts signed up as of today, last time I checked. So we're still planning to have a full summer, but just bear with us as we still try to work these pieces out with everything and just get everything lined up and such. But I do want to touch some of our highlights for this summer. One of our new merit badges that we have is animation merit badge, and we'll only be offering that at 9 o'clock for each week during the summer, and that's just because of our instructor or lack of instructors thereof. Just because there's only one person that is capable of teaching that as of right now, so hopefully they can start rotating some extra instructors in there that can learn the material and everything, so that we can open up some more sessions for it in 2021. But definitely a really fun merit badge. We offered it for a twilight activity this past summer, had a lot of good feedback from it, so definitely excited about that. Another thing is our ATV program. It's definitely something new to all of us, but we are excited. We actually got 2 of our ATVs already in. Still waiting on a couple of them, but we do have each session of those can only hold 8 per session, and due to the state regulations, we can only have 4 scouts that are above the age of 16 and 4 that are below the age of 16, due to the fact that if you're under the age of 16, then you can only ride a 90cc ATV. So we only have 4 90cc's and 4 150s for all the scouts to ride. So definitely something we're really excited about. But just make sure there's something to check out whenever you're registering, if you're still waiting to sign up for classes. And you may want to do that sooner than later, just because they have been filling up. And I think some of the weeks have already filled up. But just make sure you check that out. And one last thing as far as the program goes is our whitewater program. Haven't had as much sign up for our whitewater program, but it's definitely an awesome opportunity. We'll be providing a shuttle that will take all the scouts up to West Virginia and have a lot more whitewaters that they can go rafting in. And it's going to be an awesome experience. The only thing with that is that they'll be leaving out Tuesday morning at about 7 o'clock. So they will be missing all the sessions throughout that day. So we've had a lot of talk with our area directors and such, and pretty much it's just going to be up to the instructors as well as your scouts to coordinate with that instructor to be able to make up those requirements that they miss on that Tuesday. In talking with the area directors, they were saying that this shouldn't be a problem with the instructors, that they can fit it in during a twilight activity or after sessions, or just we have plenty of free time that they would be able to work that into their schedules and stuff. So there shouldn't be any problem with if you were going to the whitewater trip, that you'd have to come home with partials and all of your merit badges. So that's pretty much all I got. But like I said, just bear with us in the next month, just as we kind of work through everything. And as I was saying, we're working things out just as worst case scenario. We've got plans for everybody just to make sure that they can still earn some merit badges, especially for those older scouts that are really close to earning their Eagle. We definitely don't want to hold back anything for them. So, miss anything, Hunter?
I think you're good. The only thing that I have in my notes about camp is about payment for camp, for Cub resident camp, Scouts BSA camp. With all this going on and the opportunity to raise money for camp and sell camp cards, all that's kind of been out the window during this time. So camp has pushed back its payments to May 30th. So keep that in mind as we go forward, that those payments have been pushed back to May 30th instead of, it would have already been due by now, I do believe so, to register for classes and whatnot. But go ahead and make sure for Cub resident camp, if you're not already signed up, go ahead and get on the ball with that, so you can enjoy your half week at camp with the kids. And Scouts BSA, go ahead and start getting on your merit badges and things like that before they fill up. So some of these new activities are going to be really exciting and really fun, and we want to make sure that you get the opportunity to hop in there. So Wes and I appreciate you being on board with us and talking about summer camp for 2020, and we wish you the best this summer. All righty. So to continue on, we're going to now talk about scouting at home and how we can do a good job of continuing our scouts and our kids scouting at home while they're kind of contained there. So over the past few weeks, as stay-at-home orders and schools were canceled, postponed, and things like that, there has been so much really neat opportunities come out as far as how we can continue the scouting program in our homes. For both Scouts BSA and Cub Scouts, there's so many different things. To kind of talk a little bit about Cub Scouts just for a second, our Cub Scouts can continue doing their adventures at home and the requirements for their ranks at home. And so we want to make sure that they're continuing to wrap those up as we're getting to the end of the year. So that way, when they come back in August from the summer, they are able to move on up into their next den or cross over into the scout troop. And so be sure that you're letting your scouts know that they can continue to work on their adventures and things like that, so they can continue to advance on up the ladder. Biggest thing is those families need to be able to get in touch with you and see what requirements they need. They can access that themselves on Scoutbook, but they need to be able to report that back to you of what's been completed and what hasn't. So be sure to continue to do that. There is a massive list of adventures that can be done at home. I'm not going to share that with you just because it's so long, but I do plan to email that out to you guys. And but continue to do those adventures, and I will send those out. There's literally 5-6 adventures per den that can be done at home over the next few weeks. Also, a suggestion that we've seen several of our packs around the council do. They've been doing virtual campouts where they're posting pictures of their scouts camping out in the backyard through this time. I've seen some kids been camping out a couple times a week, at least once a week since this has started. So it's a neat opportunity to get scouts familiar with the tent and staying outside, especially in a safe location where they know they're at home and you guys are with them or inside or whatever else. So I definitely suggest that. one of the biggest things that we've seen, or really kind of the coolest thing we've seen so far, that our folks out at the Hawkeye Area Council have come up with, is a 30-day scouting challenge. And each den, and with Scouts BSA, it has different challenges you can do each day to help complete an adventure. So I want to show you guys a little bit of what I'm talking about here. I got one question here. Steve, that is the New River Gorge that they're going whitewater rafting on, just so you know. So to answer that real quick before we share my screen. All right, I am going to share my screen so you guys can see what we're working with here. All right, let me put that up. All right, hopefully you guys can see that. All right, so this is on that council's website, the Hawkeye Area Council, if you guys want to go look this up yourself. Let me remove that banner real quick so you can see something. All right, so what they did is they came up with a calendar, and as you can see there, you can see each den for the Cub Scouts. Each den has its own calendar of different adventures they can do. And then Scouts BSA, and we're going to click on each one of these. As you go onto this website to check this out, just bear with it. I think since they created this just a few weeks ago, they are getting bombarded with people going on here and checking out what their Scouts can do while they're at home. So we're going to check out the Tiger Challenge here, just to kind of give you an example of what this is. Some of you may have seen this online, and I think it's just an excellent resource that the staff came up with out in Iowa. But each week, or maybe over a series of a couple weeks, a Scout can complete some of its adventures, and you can see there we're a little bit behind the ball as it's April 8th, but there's nothing that says you can't start back on the 1st and work your way down. But you can start, and you see weeks 1 and 2 up at the top. Our Tigers can complete games Tigers play, My Tiger Jungle, and Tiger Bites. They can do all of that at home, all right? And then each week it goes down through the different ones. But it's just a really neat opportunity for Scouts to continue at home. And so I would definitely suggest sharing this with each of your dens. It changes. Each den, it's different as you go on up, but definitely suggest that. That way they get the opportunity to complete some of those things. All right, so as this loads back up, we're going to check out the Scouts BSA one. The Scouts BSA challenge is a little bit different because you don't necessarily have the adventures in the troop that you do in the pack, but you can work on merit badges. And so what this one does, as it loads up here, like I said, it's definitely been pretty slow with so many people being on here. Hopefully it'll load up. But each day, pretty much, you're working on a different requirement of a merit badge. And there's several merit badges that you can do at home that you need to report back to a merit badge counselor with, your Scoutmaster, Advancement Chair, things like that. But we're going to take a look at these. Like today, the 8th, you can work on coin collecting merit badge and doing, requirement 10. And it says right there, option D can be completed at home. So, it gets pretty easy. You can knock off a few requirements for different merit badges here. And just kind of gives you a chance to experience a whole lot of different things while you're stuck at home. So the link for this is actually in the chat bar. I posted several links in the chat bar up at the top, but I will also be emailing this out to all of our leaders that I have on my email list for them to share. But definitely check this out just because it's such a great resource. All right. So we're going to come back to me. All right. So that's just a really neat thing. Some of the big merit badges that you're able to do at home for our Scouts in the troop, family life merit badge, personal management. There's so many, with those merit badges, there's so many requirements that require you to keep a log or do certain things over a period of time, like personal management and personal fitness. You got to keep a log. So this is a perfect time to get in a rhythm of doing that for your Scouts. Also, I think a really easy one right now that you can work on at home is Pets Merit Badge. Most of us have a pet at home, and being home for a month, you got to take care of that pet for a period of time. Just a really easy one to get done. Public health, personal fitness, family life, radio, medicine, public health. With all this going on, there's so many really good articles out there about public health and how it can relate back to that merit badge. So definitely check that out. As far as other ways to continue scouting at home, for the troop at least, planning and cooking a meal. Most of us are cooking at home or maybe getting takeout every once in a while, but it's a perfect opportunity for your scout and the troop to knock off either the cooking merit badge requirement, or I think it's the requirement for, first or second class, where you actually have to cook a meal for your family. And so you can actually do that at home during this time while you're there. So go ahead and knock some of that out. Hold a virtual gaming meet using websites like Kahoot. Most of the kids these days are familiar with Kahoot, using that in school and stuff like that. But it's a really neat game where you can do a quiz with your scouts on testing them on their scout skills and knowledge and history and things like that. Just a cool way to meet online. A lot of our scouts and troops have took to using Zoom. Most of you have probably heard of Zoom by now. Most of your kids are probably using it to complete school at this point. But it's a great opportunity to meet with the troop or the pack. We've seen Cub Scouts using that as well. But a really neat opportunity to meet with them and to continue to scout during the evening times while they're looking for something to do. I think at this point, we're all kind of looking for other things to occupy our time. We've all been cooped up in the house and working remotely or whatever else, but we're looking for stuff to do, and so are those kids. They get tired of being outside or playing video games. We need to get them back on the scouting program. So let's be sure to do that. As you do some of these things, if you do virtual meetings or you do a camp out at home or whatever, be sure to put that on social media and tag us in there. Just a hashtag Old Hickory Council or something like that. That way we can see our guys and girls back home working on their ranks and continue the scouting program. So there's a lot of different ways to keep scouting. A lot of it's program related, of either working with your kid or a kid in a troop working on his own or his or her own. So anyways, one of the really cool things that I've saw was with the Boys Life app. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Boys Life, but they have an app that you can download on your phone, and it's free for a year. You get all these articles that are all the magazines that include, tons of program activities and ideas and stuff like that you can be doing at home by yourself. So go on there, download the Boys Life app, and check that out. It's really just a neat opportunity that the national organization has given to us while we're stuck at home here. So check that out. Also, on the Boys Life Facebook page, every weekday for some amount of time, I'm not sure how long they're going to do it for, but every weekday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, they are doing a Facebook Live where they're taking you on an adventure. Not sure where that adventure is going to take you, but they're going to a different place each day, and it's a pretty neat thing where the family can enjoy adventure from inside your home. So they'll take you somewhere and show you something, and so check that out on the Facebook Live for Boys Life. I've included that link at the top of the comments as well. And then be sure to share that with your friends and scouts and other families in the scouting program. So we've talked a lot about how we can do scouting, virtually, online, and things like that. And that brings up a really good segue into talking about youth protection. Youth protection standards are pretty key right now in making sure that we are staying within those boundaries. And so I'm just going to read a little thing. It's critical that we continue to keep our youth protection top of mind, whether our scouting activities are taking place in person or through our digital platforms. Remember that BSA prohibits any one-on-one interaction between an adult and a scout, in person, online, through a web conference, over the phone, or text, or in any other form. There must be true deep leadership in any of those. So be sure to keep that in mind as we transition into this phase of doing stuff virtually. Be sure to keep everything with two leaders, because that's not only protecting the scout, but it's protecting yourself as well. So we want to make sure everybody's safe in this process. So that's kind of my spill on how we can continue scouting at home. There are so many resources out there. You can go to just about any other council's website, including our Facebook page, and look at different options of how we can scout at home. If the family is ready to do that, go check it out. The first thing I did when we did this is I started doing research to some of the bigger metropolitan areas and where they are scouting and how they're scouting at home. They've got tons of resources, and they're more than willing to share these resources with us. And so like the 30-day scout challenge, I remember that came out as soon as all this happened, and it was shared thousands and thousands of times across the country. So great resources out there. There's better stuff coming out each day. So bear with us during this time, but continue to push that scouting program forward. To talk a little bit more, as you may understand, the Old Hickory Council is a nonprofit organization, and through COVID-19 and things like that, we've had to take a step back from a lot of our fundraising efforts. And this is going to be a difficult time for the Old Hickory Council, and we certainly know it's a difficult time for a lot of our families that aren't able to go to work and things like that. But if you are willing to support the Old Hickory Council, if you're already a supporter or something like that, or community supporters that normally support us or want to start supporting Old Hickory Council so we can continue to push the scouting mission forward, you can donate online. That link's at the top, and I'll post that as well again, but it's in the chat bar. But we would really appreciate any support we can get from our families due to most of our fundraising presentations being canceled over this entire month, and maybe even a little bit further, because we don't know how long it's going to go on for. All right. The last thing I would like to do is I would like to take a second and just to remember one of our scouters that is in a difficult time right now. We've got a longtime scouter out of Winston-Salem, Mr. Ray Caudill, that most famously is our head guy for the OA Cook crew. But we want to be thinking about him. He's going through some difficult health problems right now. And so I wish everybody would, take a moment and think about our scouting friend and mentor, and thoughts and prayers for him and his family over the next few days. My last thing is I really want you guys to share this out. There's a lot of details in the beginning that are just kind of housekeeping type stuff, going over just main details of what's been canceled, what hasn't, what's going on this summer. So be sure to share this around so everybody gets the details that they need to stay informed. And that's the biggest thing during this time, is staying informed and getting the right information. That way we're not making assumptions. So share this around. Once we end this, the link will be live. You can share it on your Facebook pages, send it out in email and things like that. My contact information's been scrolling on the bottom right there this whole time. You can call me, text me, email me, whatever works for you. And I'm here in Boone, so send up a signal flare, whatever. I'll try to get to you. But I hope everybody is staying safe out there. And if you need anything as a scout here, I'm always willing to help. Please let us know if we can help you in any sort of way. And to send this off, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us here this evening. If anybody has any questions, it'd be a really good time to pop those up. Otherwise, we're going to say good night and good evening. And I hope everybody stays safe out there. And we look forward to seeing you soon once all of this passes on over. So thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.